All right, so now we're going to talk about Chapter 3. Okay. All right. Let's give it 10 minutes to load. All right. No. Okay. Legal, ethical, and professional issues. Okay. I will tell you that our advisory committee, which is made up of FBI, Daily Oklahoman, OG&E, all kinds of different people that advise us on what to do, ethics is probably the one thing they want us to cover. But they can teach you a computer skill, but ethics is kind of a lot of people have issues with that nowadays. I know a lot of you are younger now, and it's really not taught. So ethics is kind of important, okay? So let's talk about a few things. Okay, so we're going to talk about legal, we're going to talk about ethical, and how it all works. Now, I'm not a lawyer. Trust me, I've been trying to contact a lawyer all week. I'm not a lawyer, but yeah, we're going to talk about a few things that go in there. Okay, laws. First of all, we got rules that mandate or prohibit certain behavior that are enforced by the state. What can you think of a law? Give me an example of a law. Anybody?
Don't murder people.
There you go. Don't murder, don't kill. How about texting and driving? That's a new one. Did you know actually the law states you cannot interact with your device with your hands? That's what the law states. So even if you click to answer the phone, to talk on it, or even with a hands-free device, if you click to answer, that's interacting with your device. That's actually against the law. So unless you say, hello Siri, do something like that, So there's lots of laws about it. Now, ethics. This is regulate to define socially acceptable behavior. Ethics change all the time. If I lived in Saudi Arabia, do you think it'd be okay to download copyright software? They don't care. They literally don't care. They sell it everywhere. When I was over in Saudi Arabia for a couple trips with the military, any piece of software you want is literally cost you $1, basically, because they don't care. They don't believe in our copyright laws. Okay, so ethics is what is socially acceptable. Okay. Now let's talk about morals, fixed moral attitudes or customs. I mean, that's all we hear in the news lately. Okay, obviously, Christians are different from Muslims that are different from someone else. And then, how about Amish? Have we ever seen Amish people? You know they don't have buttons on their clothes? They have pins. I was actually at Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I went to the Hershey Museum. And we visited the Amish people there. And yeah, there's a demo of an Amish house. And you can walk through and see it all. And it's like, wow, I would have never thought of nobody. So obviously their culture is a lot different than ours. Okay? It says laws carry the authority of the governing authority. Ethics do not. Okay? So, ethics is really what's right and wrong. Right? They're not a law. Right? So, one of my pet peeves, I don't know if this pertains to any of you, is smoking. Okay? My dad smoked my entire childhood, and I can't stand it. It always bothers me because, I've never met a smoker who would admit to throwing their cigarette butts out. Yet, at every entrance, everywhere they're full of cigarette butts. They're always on the floor. So would that be more of an ethical thing or legal thing?
I'd say ethical.
I would say ethical. Now there is, you're not really supposed to litter, but you really think if you drive down your car and you throw your cigarette butt out, they're going to pull you over and arrest you? No. They could potentially get you for littering, but not really. So, the whole ethical thing and, legal thing are different. Okay? Liability says the legal obligation of an entity extending beyond criminal. Are you liable for anything? So Rose State, doesn't make it a safe environment and you hurt yourself. Would they be liable? Yeah. They should have done more to protect you as a student. Okay. We have security on campus, They're there to protect you. Do we really have to have them? I don't think there's a law that says Rose State has to have security guards, but it's one of the things we do, and if we don't provide security, we kind of would be liable if something happened. And, y'all know that story about the lady at McDonald's that dumped the coffee on her? Won millions of dollars. They would actually read the actual story. I actually did recently, probably last year sometimes. And you're right, she did pour the coffee on her, accidentally. And it turns out that coffee was like 111 degrees in temperature. 211. It was basically boiling. They did a check, and it was like 75 of McDonald's locations that were checked out of a large number had it set way too high. It was basically set at lava temperature, pretty much. Okay? And all she wanted them to do was pay the medical bills. And they refused and refused. And over, she's like, I don't want to see you. We just want the medical. But she couldn't afford the medical bills. And they wouldn't pay it. So basically, they kind of forced her to sue them to get the medical bills. So there's a lot more to that story. Okay? So McDonald's ended up paying basically because they were stupid. And because they wouldn't do the right thing. A lot of times, way back when I was stationed in the military in Texas, I was driving my motorcycle home. Now, this is back in early 80s. I know was anyone even born in early 80s? Yeah. Back in early 80s, what do you think they did if they caught you drunk driving? I literally rode up to the Bergstrom Air Force Base gate after having a few drinks one night. The guard knew it. Said, "You've been drinking?" I says, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you get on your motorcycle and you ride straight back to your dormitory and go to sleep." That's all they did to you back then. What do you think they do to you now? You're dead. Okay. But, I kind of was out one night. I don't even think I was actually drinking that night. But I was driving down the road, and this lady had wrecked her car, had got it fixed, and was actually driving out of the parking lot, picking it up from getting it fixed, and pulled right out in front of me. Slammed right I couldn't stop. I mean, if you know anything about motorcycles, they don't stop as quickly. Ran right into the side of her car. And I broke a toe. Ooh, my only bone I ever broke. But I went to the doctor, and then basically the military says, "Oh, this was done, by somebody else's fault." But their lawyers started calling me. "What can we do? Are you okay?" Because I guess they were worried I was going to sue them, her insurance company. They ended up, I think they gave me $650 to let me keep the motorcycle. So I probably could have got a lot more than that. But they were willing to do the right thing so I wouldn't sue them and cause issues. Okay. The Duke case says the legal standard requiring a prudent organization to act legally and ethically and know the consequences of their action. So what if Rose State accepted credit cards and didn't update their system to block some threat? Say they didn't. Duke cares to do what you should be doing. Hey, there was a threat, a known threat, so we protected ourselves. If they don't protect themselves, they could be sued. Due diligence, the legal standard required an prudent organization to maintain a standard of due care and ensure actions are effective. Okay, so are you doing the right things, and are they actually working? All that's part of it. Okay, jurisdiction. Where do you have jurisdiction? I used to run an ISP, an internet service provider. I had 9 servers in my shed in the back of my house. This guy came to me one day and goes, "I really need help writing an application for logins, password verification." And I don't mind helping students. And I finally asked him what it was for. And he was like, "Well, it's not technically illegal." I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't sound good already." What it was is he was a partner in this porn website. And he needed help making the login script for it. I'm like, "No, I'm not helping you with it." Then he comes back to me again. And he goes, "Okay, what if I pay you a monthly fee to redirect?" I don't know if you ever type in a name a little bit off. Where'd I go the other day? I was at a website. I typed in a name, and Tinker Federal Credit Union. Yeah, let's try that one. It's not a bad website. Okay. So Tinker Federal Credit Union.org. Makes sense. TFCU.org? I don't use them. It makes sense to me. That's not Tinker Federal Credit Union.org. This is the 5 Point Credit Union. But see, I typed in TFCU, and it translated me to these guys. Someone probably bought that name. And, think about it. You're an old person. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, Okay, I'm going to become a member. I think I'm going to join Tinker Credit Union, but instead I'm joining 5 Point. It's actually tinkerfcu.org. I think. Yes, this is the right one. Okay, so the point is this guy wanted to hire me to do name knockoffs like that. Oh, you typed in McDonald's, but you spelled McDonald's wrong, and you got a porn site or something, you know. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So, you know, it's just some of the stuff people want you to do, okay? But this porn site was outside the United States. So would I be breaking any laws? Not really. I'm just translating a name. There's nothing wrong with translating a name. But hosting a pornography website in Oklahoma is illegal. But I really wasn't hosting it here. So would I be illegal doing it? Not technically, but that's more the moral stuff. I wouldn't morally feel right doing it. So who has the right or wrong if something was committed? The problem with the internet nowadays, you buy stuff, you don't know where you're buying it from. You could... Everyone get any calls from the Canadian pharmacy yet? Yeah, I get them. I got a new one just the other day. The U.S. pharmacy called me. I go, oh, the U.S. pharmacy, that's a new one. But, you know, where is the jurisdiction? You know, is it illegal where they're calling you from, you know? Long arm says, application of laws to those residing outside the court's normal jurisdiction, usually granted when the person acts illegally within this jurisdiction. So if someone in Oklahoma did something that, you know, was outside. It's kind of like that whole extradition thing you always hear about, okay? So a lot of different things there. Policies is managerial directives. In other words, what should you do? Okay, what's acceptable? What's unacceptable? Okay. Our drug enforcement policy here at Rose State used to be a paragraph. Don't do drugs, basically, is what it said. We hired a new HR person who happened to be a lawyer. So that drug enforcement policy, the paragraph became like 18 pages. And it was like crazy long, okay? So, you know, it was a policy on what to do, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Now, so since it was a policy, if I had broken it, could they arrest me? What do you think? No, they could fire me, which was actually written in the policy, but they couldn't call me to the city police department and haul me up to jail. So I really wasn't breaking the law. It's not illegal to drink. It's not illegal. Well, certain drugs, I guess it would be illegal. But say I drank some wine in my office, I would be breaking a local policy, but not a law. So there's a big difference there. Okay, so policies function as the organization's laws must be crafted and implemented with care to make sure they're right, okay, and fairly applied to everyone. Now, what if I couldn't have alcohol, but the president has alcohol in her office? That wouldn't be fair. You know, there's some people on this campus that have alcohol in their office. There has to be. I don't. Maybe they want to share, that'd be fine. But no, I don't have any. So here's the difference. Ignorance of a policy is an acceptable defense. I didn't know I couldn't have alcohol in my office. So how do you think they told us we couldn't have alcohol in our office?
Meetings.
Right, we have meetings. We have something called the Policies and Procedures Manual, which is growing excessively, which is available online. And also this drug policy, when they changed it, they posted it literally on the windows downstairs in the main office. They literally attached it to the window, this big old pile of it, a pile of pages, and it was there for nearly probably 8 to 10 years. I finally asked the question, when can we take this stupid thing down? No one knew. So I just ripped it down one day. I'm like, it's been here forever. Let's remove it down. Point is, it has to be posted. You have to be made aware of the change. It's kind of like if they went and changed it and didn't tell me, I could say, you know, I got hired here. They didn't say nothing about it. So I would not be held liable for the policy. All right, criteria. Distribution, hence they stuck it on the window. Reading. We actually have to, we're supposed to do it like now. We have to do a new sexual harassment and human resource training. We do it every few years. See, Friday, before school started, we have our in-service. That's where we have 2 days of training and stuff. Well, the Friday before school started, we closed for possibility of ice. We were supposed to do it Friday. I say, okay, everybody, we're going to close the school down, but you're all going to make sure you get these done. I wonder how many actually did it. I didn't, but oh well. So, need to be able to review them, need to understand them. You know, most things are written at about a 5th grade level. Why do you think that is? Why would you write stuff at such a low level?
So that way everyone can
understand
understand
it.
it.
Exactly. Everybody needs to be able to understand this. I read something this morning. What was it? I was submitting our NSF final report, and there was some word. I'm like, what does that even mean? I actually never did look it up, but okay. But yeah, comprehension is a big deal. Agreement. Do you agree by it? Okay. A lot of times you'll have to sign stuff. Not always. A lot of times I have to do, what's it called? If I write a curriculum for Rose State, it belongs to Rose State. I can't share it with somebody else. There's a name for that. I can't remember what it is. But a lot of times you have to... What is intellectual property rights? There it is. Belongs to Rose State. And it's weird. Sometimes I'll write something for another school, and there is no ruling like that, so I can use it other places. Like at Park University, I develop all their Java courses. I'm their actual only Java developer. And it's weird. I do not have to sign an intellectual property agreement for them, so I develop it for them. We use it here as well. So, makes sense. And also uniform enforcement. We already talked about that. These pertain to everybody. All right, we have civil laws govern nations or states. Okay, this manages relationships and conflicts between organizations. We have criminal, which is crimes, like you talk about get somebody arrested for killing somebody. Private, that might be our corporate type stuff. So where do you think more money's made out of these? Civil, criminal, private, or public? What do you think? If I'm a lawyer, which one am I going to make more money with?
Criminal.
I would say private. Because we don't want to go to court. We don't want to go that. What we want to do is we want to solve this without letting everybody know. So there's a big money made there. Yeah, I actually talked about it in one of my other classes, but you know, the whole point of this whole forensic stuff we teach all these classes, it is to, hey, you did something wrong and we can prove it. But it's really to make him admit his guilt, so we don't have to go to court. Because if I can, what's your name?
Sean.
Sean. I caught Sean doing something. Imagine that. Sean's got a lawyer, and I come up to Sean and say, Sean, I got this exact proof. We got you. You're going to go to jail for 2 years, or we're going to go to court. What do you think Sean's going to do? I mean, if I can prove well enough to him and his lawyer that we know he did it, Sean's going to be like, all right. Because I'll say, we can go to 2 years, or we can go to court, and you might do up to 20. Sean's going to be like, 2 or 20? So really, all this stuff we do is to prevent court. Anytime you see a court action, a court trial, that means they didn't agree. Or the bad guy thought they could get off, like the O.J. Simpson glove thing. Give me a pair of gloves. I guarantee I can make it not fit. Okay? So, you know, it's just crazy. Okay? Public type stuff, really no money made there. Okay? Relevant laws. There's a lot of relevant laws, and they're changing all the time. I was thinking about becoming a lawyer. That lasted about 5 seconds. So, but there's a lot of laws. And the information, the laws that pertain to cybersecurity are always playing catch-up. Like we got a brand new law, I think it was in November, about texting. We already talked about that. 10 years ago, who would have thought of a law about sending text messages? Well, I figured 20 years ago. We didn't have text messages 20 years. So how are we going to make for a law we didn't know what it is? So really they're playing catch-up. They're after the fact. Hey, we got this new technology and everybody's abusing it and we're having a lot of wrecks. So we need to do something proactively to, fix this. So, right. All right, it says the United States has demonstrated understanding of the importance of securing information, unless you're Hillary Clinton, or you can go to jail. Okay? All right. So, you'll never guess what I voted for. Okay, so Computer Fraud, Waste, and Abuse Act, a really old one. It says the cornerstone of many laws. Did you do something on the computer you shouldn't have done? Did you break into my account? Did you do whatever? So that's really the one that started this all. We also have the Infrastructure Protection Act of '96. Lots of stuff going on there. Y'all ever heard of something called SETI at home? SETI at home. SETI is like the search for extraterrestrial life. Okay. You can actually sign up for an account, set it home, and run it on your computer. Whenever you're not using your computer, it will actually download a chunk of radio data, analyze it for certain signatures to look for extraterrestrial life. Analyze it, then sends it back. Didn't find nothing. Well, you can actually do that on multiple machines. Bill Richards actually used to do it in the lab across the hall. He liked playing with it. So I said, fine, when we're not using it. So whenever the computers were idle, it would download some data, and each of the computers would analyze a piece of it and send it back up. Well, there was a guy in the state of Oklahoma that worked for the, whatever, the governor area of Oklahoma. And they arrested him for misuse of computer resources. But he really only did it when they weren't being used. But the point is he still did it. So he is still guilty of misusing resources. But even though they weren't being used when he did it, the point was he still did it. So it's kind of weird. You don't get no money out of it, but it's just different. Okay. Patriot Act. We heard a lot about that. Okay. Law enforcement with broader latitude in order to combat terrorism. Okay. Been around for a long time. It was renewed recently, somewhat recently, I guess. But, they put these in place to solve problems. Okay. All right, we have the U.S. Patriot Improvement and Reauthorization Act. So, made it a little better, I guess. Okay. Computer Security Act, one of the first attempts to protect federal computer systems by establishing minimum acceptable security practices. Okay. Now, if there's this minimal set of security practices already defined and you don't follow them, now you can go to jail because you're an organization, you should know better, and you should do something about it. Privacy. So if I took a piece of paper, like that piece of paper right here, and wrote your social security number on here, just one social security number, what do you think the authorized way, according to the Privacy Act of 1974, what do you think the authorized way is to destroy this?
Burn it.
Shred it.
Okay, both of those, but what is the least thing I have to do to it? That might be the word I'm looking for. Rip it in 4 pieces. If I rip this in 4 pieces, that is considered destructive. It's been destroyed. But if I wrote your social on here, what are the odds of me ripping 4 pieces? I even hurt it at all. So, it's kind of scary stuff. It's like, wow, what good is that law? Okay. And I guess the world's blowing up. I got like 87 messages. Okay. So, it says rights of individuals or groups to protect themselves. We have privacy rights. You shouldn't be able to go in and... Now, Rose State is a public institution. So there's called Freedom of Information Act. You ever heard of something like that? You guys could, if you needed it, could petition the school and get anything you want. You could go in there, and I want to see what Ken Dewey's salary is. Actually, you can see that anyway. If you go to openbooks.org, you can literally see my entire salary right online. It's crazy. Okay. The ability to aggregate data from multiple sources allows creation of information databases previously impossible. Okay. I have a student, one of my students on my NSF grant, my Scholarship for Service grant. She saw a doctor. Whatever. Just a doctor. And we needed a letter from the doctor to say she's not crazy or something, I guess, whatever. I don't know what this letter is. She couldn't find this doctor. All we had was the name and an old phone number of the doctor. Okay? So this was Monday night. Because the student was up here. She goes, man, I can't find this darn doctor. She moved. Her old office has no idea where she went. What am I going to do? And basically the NSA was saying, find her. So I happen to have another student, a friend of mine, who's a PI, private investigator. So I messaged her the name and the old phone number. That's all I gave her. 5 minutes later, she sent me a 38-page report. I know her neighbors. I know her car. I know everything about this person. It's like, seriously? Took 5 minutes. And I can literally tell you every place she's ever lived, all her relatives, where they all came from, her educational, plus all of her family, plus her next door neighbors. That's the one that got me. It's like, next door neighbors? And it's like, this has been confirmed, this has not been confirmed, stuff like that. It's like crazy. We had Kevin Mitnick here back in 2013, the big hacker guy, Kevin Mitnick. And he asked one of the students for a volunteer, and he took his social security number, put it into a website right there on the screen, and literally knew the entire student's history instantly. And it cost him like 35 cents. Isn't that scary? That's all you need. So this whole privacy thing, there is none. Yeah, there's no such thing. Okay. All right. Information assembled into multiple sources. Basically, all this stuff is put together now. If you take some time, I did a stalking presentation or a stalking exercise in penetration testing, and 2 years ago, I had the students stalk me. Well, the reason I came up with this exercise was my mother died when I was very young. I thought it when I was 7 years old. Well, when Virginia was applying for a security clearance on Tinker, when they said, when does Ken's mother die? When he was 7. They said, not good enough. What am I supposed to do? I can't call her. My dad's dead. Can't call him. My brother didn't know. How am I going to figure that out? So I started looking, and I actually found out that I'm a 13th generation Mayflower, came over on the Mayflower. I even got it all documented. I can tell you exactly I'm related to them. Related to Sarah Palin as well. And I also found out that there's a family, I think, called the Rutherfords in England. I'm related to them. Well, someone in that family likes to blog about everything. I found out when my parents were married. I knew what kind of dress she wore, what kind of cake they had at the wedding. I knew when she died. I knew the song they sang at the death. I knew everything. All that was online. I'm like, are you serious? And this is stuff that was done years ago. Imagine y'all younger people that literally post your entire life online. But it's really scary. This stuff is out there. I mean, if I can, give 5 minutes to find a 38-page report on a doctor, it's like, was not even from the U.S. She was actually an immigrant. We even knew about her family, where she came from. It's like crazy stuff. So take some time. Go look up yourself. It's really amazing what you can find out there. Okay. Now, I change that project every year, so that's not the current project, but it was 2 years ago. Okay. All right, so here's the Privacy Act of 1974. Okay. We also have the Electronic Communications Privacy Act. We also have HIPAA. HIPAA's healthcare. I hate it. It's a pain in the butt. My son, my youngest, Micah, who's 28 now, I guess, 26? 26. No, he's 28. No, he's 29. Jeez, whatever. He's somewhere in the 20s. He moved to Arizona to go to a motorcycle school. And he got hurt. No, he didn't get hurt. He was very sick. So he calls me, Dad, I have TRICARE because I'm prior military. He's like, Dad, I really need to go see the doctor. So I'm like, okay. So I call TRICARE. All right, I need to get my son in to see a doctor. And I'm like, oh, he's 18 now. Can no longer talk to you. And they're like, that's it, done. So I called Micah back and said, Micah, I'm sorry, dude, I can't. They won't talk to me. You're 18 now. He's like, please, Dad, I'm dying here. Please. I'm like, I can't. They will no longer speak to me because you're 18. So he had to call TRICARE because, I mean, it sucks. My stepdaughter, she's 18 now, and she an adult now. She's not an adult. But I told her, you're an adult. When HIPAA basically says when you're an adult, you make all your own decisions. So it's tough. And those of you, I'm assuming you're all adults in here. Some of you might not quite look like it. But hopefully you're going to have to make your own decisions someday. And it's tough. And stuff like this, I couldn't help my son. I'm like, I cannot talk to them. They won't let me. I'm working with my mother-in-law about this bankruptcy thing. That is pulling teeth. So I have to have her sitting there on the phone. And this is what gets me. I've been calling all these companies. I'm Ken Dewey. I'm here working with my mother-in-law, Wanda Harrington, blah, blah, blah. Was Wanda there? And she goes, yeah, I'm over here. Can I speak to Ken? Oh, yeah. I'm like, what kind of proof is that says even Wanda or anything? So really could have had any female. I could have her sitting there said she was Wanda, and they would have been fine with it. I actually worked with some company a few years back. Yeah. No, it wasn't me, or was it? Well, basically, we kept changing our voice to pretend we were someone else, and they were fine with it. They didn't care. It was like, it's crazy. But we have Financial Services Act. There's just all kinds of different acts out there. Identity theft. I've had my identity stolen before. Someone stole my Discover card for $17,000. How much was I responsible for? 0. It technically says $50, but I wasn't responsible for a penny. Actually, some of the charges on my mother-in-law's account right now, we're just saying they're fraud because I can't find proof that she even made them. But identity theft, people could steal your information, do stuff with it. You know, someone filed taxes in my name 2 years ago. So for the next 5 years, every November they send me a new PIN number in the mail, and I have to file my taxes on paper, can't electronic, and I have to mail them in. It's a pain in the butt. Okay, but the FTC helps with all that stuff. Okay. Speaking about that, y'all, how many of you check your credit reports? I bet none of you. A couple of you? Okay. There's two different. First of all, you go to Credit Karma, by the way, and it's free, which is actually kind of cool. But go to annualcreditreport.com. That's the place where you go. Don't go to Free Credit Report. Don't go to Experian. Don't go to TransUnion. Just go to annualcreditreport.com. Totally free. You can get a copy of each every year for free. Do it. You might as well. Because you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that's on there. I went to get my first mortgage, and they disapproved me because I didn't pay my sales bill. I haven't brought them my sales bill. I'm like, here, it's paid off. And they're like, oh. It was filed by a Kenneth and a Doreen Dewey. Kenneth actually works at the post office in Midwest City. I guess when they filed collections on him, they didn't have a social security number, so it's stuck in on mine. So we had to prove that I'm not married to Doreen Dewey, and that wasn't me, just so I could get my mortgage. And, you don't know what's on there. So annualcreditreport.com is kind of good. All right, if you suspect something, you can file a report with the credit bureaus. Okay. You can order a credit report. I just talked about that. Okay. It's a good thing to do. Okay. Espionage Act in 1996. Okay. There's just all kinds of stuff. Think about it. If I'm going to commit a crime, rob a bank, what do you think's easier? Rob it with a gun or rob it with a computer? Rob it with a computer. It's so much easier because I can do it from anywhere in the world. Okay. It helps us reinforce the rights to use and sell encryption. There's a book called Crypto by Stephen Levy. It costs you about $5 on Amazon. You need to read that book, especially when you take the cryptography course. It's going to be really helpful. It's called Crypto. It's awesome. It's by Stephen Levy, Levy. And it's kind of a story based of how we started with this whole encryption thing. And talks about Phil Zimmerman and PGP and how the government told him, do not export this outside the United States under any circumstances. So he posted on a local bulletin board that happened to synchronize worldwide. So he didn't technically publish it, but just by putting it on a bulletin board that was published worldwide, it got out there. And the government's like, well, what are we going to do about it? There's nothing they could do. It's too late. It was already out there. Yeah, that's the exact book right there. Okay. So a lot of information about that. Okay. Let's see what else. Copyright laws. I think, but again, I'm not a lawyer. If you say something's copywritten, it's copywritten for, I think, the first couple years automatically without actually even filing any paperwork. There was actually a good... Who flew the first airplane?
No.
Wright Brothers. Technically, they didn't. But there's a movie on Netflix. It's about the Wright Brothers and this other guy. Can't think of his name. What's Jarvis? Maybe that was it. And it was all about, they technically did, but they technically didn't as well. Really, really interesting story. And how the Wright brothers got it basically copywritten the plane and wouldn't let anyone use it. They wouldn't let anybody else develop that. And finally the military said, we need to advance this technology and you are stopping it, so we are pulling your copyright. So kind of interesting stuff. So, all right, there's... okay, then we got financial reporting, Sarbanes-Oxley. It's kind of important you follow financial records and you do them correctly. There's a movie called Enron. Some of you might have seen that movie. I probably even mentioned it before. You hear about it in the ethics class. Wow, I never knew half that stuff about that movie. Enron, the smartest guys in the room is the name of it. Excellent movie. Talks all about the brownouts in California and how they lied on everything. It's like, wow. So financial reporting, big deal there. Freedom of information, you can ask for information. As long as you have somewhat of a need, you can do it. Okay. It says U.S. government agents are required to disclose any requested information upon receipt or written receipt of it. So you can ask for whatever you want. Okay. All right, here's all the different requests. There's a request received. And yeah, look, there's a very actually the backlog's going down, 71,000 right now. Well, that was 2012, but okay. PCI, I hate PCI. I really hate it with a passion. Payment card industry, anybody that accepts credit cards must be PCI compliant. And there's a nationwide gym company called Anytime Fitness. I used to take care of all the computers, like 6 different locations locally. The way that all started was I signed up with a gym membership. Paid 3 years in advance. I had personal trainers. I paid for everything. And then I had an issue with something. I forget what it was. Something that wasn't right. So I emailed the owner, and he saw my signature from my email, the director of cybersecurity at Rose State. He calls me very next day. Ken, I've got your email. Would you mind coming and speak to me? Okay. So I went in and speak to the owner, and he goes, first of all, here's a check for every penny you ever paid us. Okay. He's like, I can give you free lifetime membership to Anytime Fitness. I just want your help with the computers. So I helped him for years. Took care of his computers. But one of the things we had to do was I had to perform the PCI. It was make sure his credit card stuff was running correctly. And the way his worked is they connect directly to the outside world. We don't store anything local. Yeah, I don't do it anymore. But there's nothing stored local. It's all handled, through a external processor. But the stupid PCI checks, you have to hire an external agency to scan your network to look for vulnerabilities. Well, it turns out the video recording software they use has a known vulnerability in it. And it kept failing every time. I said, dude, that's the video recording software. Video recording here, credit card here, not connected in any way. So it took forever every time we had to do this again. Oh, you failed. It was a known sequence number guessing attack on the software they use, which they weren't fixing. The manufacturer wasn't fixing. So I had to prove to them, your scan is wrong. Your scan is against the video system, not the credit card system. And it was pulling teeth every 90 days or so whenever we had to do this. Because they'd immediately, whoa, you fail. You can no longer accept credit cards. I'm like, seriously? But it's tough. I understand why they do it. They want to make sure you're compliant. But it's very, very difficult to work with. Okay. State and local regulations. We have a new texting law. States can have their own. What about this whole, obviously, there's many states now that have legal marijuana. Do y'all agree with that? Colorado, all these states. But there's a federal law that says it's illegal. So wouldn't the federal law trump, I said that, overrule the state law? It should. It should overrule it. But sometimes they're kind of like, unless you're really causing a problem, we're not going to look your way. So it's kind of stuff. It's kind of weird like that. Okay. International laws. Those are even tougher. And I tell you, try buying software with companies that work overseas. Try signing agreements for software with companies that work overseas. It's hard because, there's something called the battle of forms. They send us a form, and we don't like it, so we change a little, send it back to them. They don't like that, so they change a little, send it back to us. We don't like that, so we change a little, and it's a nightmare to get anything. Your all student email used to be hosted by Outblaze, which happened to be hosted in Amsterdam, which is the #1 spam capital of the world. Okay, maybe number 2. I think it's #1. So the problem was students would send out email, and they're always getting flagged as spam, no matter what, because it was coming from Amsterdam, even though it really wasn't spam. But, just to get that contract signed for email was killing us. And now we all have Google. Y'all realize that. Probably took us 10 years to switch. I literally was after them for 10 years. Why are we paying Outblaze for email? We were paying like $62,000 a year. Google's free. Well, we need to look into it for 10 years. Finally, they switched. All right, Council of European Convention on Cybercrime. There's a lot of stuff that happens, worldwide. Okay, and again, they talk about a little about it here. Agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property. And I'm not going to go all these in detail because I don't know a lot about them. I'm going to be upfront with you. Okay. And they're not overall. Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Okay. So I don't have TV. Okay. What I do is I like Hell's Kitchen. I like Designated Survivor. A couple of different TV shows I like. So I go on iTunes and I buy the entire season for like $14. And every week I get the new show. So instead of paying for cable, I'm literally getting just the shows I want to watch. So it works out great. It saves me a lot of money and it's perfect. And I also bought Walking Dead, that kind of stuff. So if I took these shows that I paid for and shared them with you all, would that be illegal? Yeah. Actually, it would be. Any public, whatever. And first of all, I can't give them to you. They won't work. If I use them in iTunes, save them to a flash drive, and you guys try to watch them, it'll pop up with iTunes, log in. You'd have to have my login to get it to work. So, it's kind of weird. You can't just give it out. There was a big issue with Apple Music where I guess Taylor Swift is the one who really caused the uproar here. Apple Music, you get it free for 30 days, 90 days, something like that. Does anyone even know?
Usually it's 30 days.
Okay. Say I sign up for Apple Music today. I get it free for 30 days. Well, Apple's point was, since, we're not paying, the people aren't paying for it, I'm not going to pay the artists for it. But Taylor Swift was like, but they're listening to my music. You're going to pay me for it. Apple's like, but we're not getting anything for it. Well, finally she won, and Apple's now paying for it. So, this whole Copyright Act is really, really tough. Okay. Ethics and information security. It says many professional disciplines have ethics rules, and we're actually going to see quite a few of them here in a minute. But that's a big deal. If I break some of these rules, I could lose some of my certifications. Okay. All right. The 10 Commandments: Thou shalt not use a computer to harm other people. Thou shalt not interfere with a person's computer work. Thou shalt not snoop around in other people's files. Okay. Now, when I ran my own ISP, I had thousands of email clients. Could I have looked at all their emails? Yeah, I ran the server. Should I look at their emails? No. Did I look at their emails? Maybe. But only certain ones. Okay. Thou shalt not use a computer to steal. So there's a lot of different things there. Ethic differences. It says culture differences create difficulty in determine. Software licenses, some people could care less. Whatever. I believe in paying for it. Every piece of software I use, y'all remember WinZip? I bought it. It's probably the only person to buy it, but I bought it. Because I used it, and I write software, and I'm like, I use the software. I try it first, then I buy it, and that's the right thing to do. More people should do that, but, I won't do it. I'm the only one here who ever bought WinZip. Yeah, I knew it. Now it's like built into Windows. You don't even need it anymore, but back then you kind of need it. Okay. Here's all the privacy rates, millions or pirated rates. There you go. U.S. $9 million. Legal. So it's crazy. Go down to Brazil, 53%. Indonesia, 86%. A lot of places could care less. Oh, let's just share it with everybody. Ethics and education. Education is an overriding factor. We actually have an ethics course, so believe it or not, if you take it here, which you have to, you actually get 4,000 level credit at LSU for it. They give you, senior level credit, which is kind of nice. It says employees must be trained and kept aware of what's right and wrong. And it says proper training is vital, and we do offer that here. So, okay. Deterring unethical and illegal behavior. We could have, like they say at the bottom here, fear of penalty. If you do that again, you're going to be fired. That's an easy way. Or it says probably being apprehended. I guess, Carl Albert, supposedly the cops were there today looking at kids' cell phones. I don't know. Probability of penalty being applied. You're going to have to pay something for this. Okay. Here's the penalty. Parking for Dr. Whitman violators will be shot. Probably a little bit too much. Apprehension, they're going to write him a ticket. An application, now we're going to shoot him. It's probably a little bit too much. Okay, here we go. Many organizations have code of ethics, and here they list some of them. ACM actually has a wonderful student chapter that has, they probably have more information posted about computers than anybody. It's called Association of Computing Machinery. They have a code of ISC squared, which is the fourth one down. They have a very large code of ethics, which I think they show here in a second. There's ACM's. Let's go to ISC squared. Okay, ISC squared. Code is primarily designed for information security professionals. Code of ethics focuses on 4 main canons. They don't even, I thought they were going to be in here. But it's basically the same kind of thing. I'm not going to steal. I'm not going to use computers illegally, that kind of stuff. Okay. SANS, they have theirs as well. What these organizations do is, if you're going to hold our certification, you need to prove to us you're going to do the right stuff. And if you do the wrong stuff, we're going to take away your certification. This is what they do it for. Okay. ISACA, same thing. They have their own. Even CompTIA has one. Even Microsoft has one. Okay. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, makes up 5 directorates or divisions. And, they just do a lot with computers. Okay. A lot. U.S. Secret Service, mainly, their main job, okay, I want to know what the main job of the Secret Service is. Their number 1 primary responsibility.
Is to keep the information of the U.S. safe.
Not really. Protection of the president. That is their number 1 task. Then they also do money, any counterfeit, that kind of stuff is Secret Service. But yeah, their number 1 task is protection of the president. So, kind of cool. But a lot of different agencies. Operation Firewall, yay. Okay. FBI, they're kind of the local guys. Okay. James Finch, is the director of the FBI here in Oklahoma, was one of my students. He came through here. Kind of weird lecturing to the director of the FBI every day. But what he did was he was in charge of the cybercrimes unit. So he sent everybody out to solve all the crimes, but he really didn't know what they were doing. He was kind of manager that kind of had an idea, but really wasn't. So he came through and got his associate's degree. So literally I would have the director of the FBI in there every day, and it was kind of scary. Okay. I've had cops and everybody. InfoGuard. If you haven't joined InfoGuard, you need to. It's free. InfoGuard is an FBI organization that helps spread the word about problems. I signed up 2 years ago. They haven't approved me yet. I literally got an email a month ago. You're still processing your application. We should know in a week or 2. It's been 2 years, and you haven't approved. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I'm a felon. I don't know. They just haven't approved me yet. But they have to call you and verify. So is this really you? Can do that kind of stuff. Okay. But InfoGuard's kind of good. There it is. There's the FBI Most Wanted. Kevin Mitnick was on here. Obviously not any longer. Okay. NSA, National Security Agency. Again, we have students going there. Big deal there. And that's the end of our slides. Okay. Any questions on Chapter 3? Don't leave yet. Let's stop this.